The Pittsburgh Steelers reportedly agreed to sign safety Darnell Savage over a month ago. The deal was done. It was announced. Fans moved on. But here is the thing nobody is saying out loud right now. Savage never actually signed. Not a single person inside the Steelers organization has said his name this entire offseason. And the more time passes, the more it looks like this deal is dead. So let's go back to where this started. In March 2026, NFL insider Tom Pelissero reported that the Pittsburgh Steelers and free agent safety Darnell Savage had agreed to terms on a one-year deal. A deal was in place. That's it. Done. Savage was going to be a Steeler, except nothing happened after that. No signing announcement, no press release, no welcome post, no photo in a Steelers jersey. Just silence. Now, you might be thinking, okay, teams do that sometimes. They agree to deals and wait to make them official. And yes, that does happen. There is actually a rule in the NFL called the compensatory pick period. During that window, teams sometimes wait to sign players, so it does not mess with their draft pick formula. But here is where it gets interesting. That excuse does not apply here at all. The compensatory period ended on the Monday following the 2026 draft, but Savage's contract, reportedly worth a base salary of $1.3 million, would not have counted toward the compensatory formula in the first place. The money was too low. And on top of that, the Steelers were not even in line to receive any compensatory picks this year. They gained more players than they lost in free agency. So the compensatory excuse, gone. There was zero reason to wait. And yet, they waited, and waited, and are still waiting. About a month ago, one beat writer covering the Steelers tried to explain the delay. He said the holdup was probably connected to medical evaluations. Teams do medical checks on players before they make deals official. That is completely normal. But that was over a month ago. Medical checks do not take 40+ days. That is not how this works. And here is the part that makes the medical excuse even harder to believe. The Steelers have not stopped doing business. They just agreed to terms with defensive lineman Dean Lowry this week. They signed Jaquan Brisker. They drafted players. They are active. They are signing people, just not Darnell Savage. So if it was just a medical hold, why is every other deal getting done while Savage sits in limbo? That question does not have a clean answer right now. And before we get into what actually might have happened here, remember what I said at the start. Nobody inside the Steelers has mentioned his name. Not once. Not a coach. Not a GM. Nobody. That is not an accident. Keep that in mind. Here is the detail that most people are completely missing. The Steelers agreed to terms with Darnell Savage first. That was the order. Savage was the guy. Then, after that, Pittsburgh turned around and signed Jaquan Brisker on March 16th, 2026. Think about that for a second. They already had a safety deal agreed upon. Then they went out and got another safety. Both of them play in the same general area of the field. Both of them were brought in to help at the back end of the defense. Now the Steelers have Deshaun Elliott, they have Jalen Ramsey, they have Jaquan Brisker, they have Sebastian Castro, and they just drafted rookie Robert Spears-Jennings. That is 5 safeties already on the roster. 5. So where exactly does Darnell Savage fit into any of that? There is no clear spot for him, and when a team signs a player to fill a need, and then that need gets filled by someone else, the original guy becomes unnecessary. That is almost certainly what happened here. The Steelers agreed to terms with Savage because they needed safety help. Then the market shifted, Brisker became available, Pittsburgh liked what they saw, and Savage got pushed to the back of the line without anyone officially telling him that. Remember, this is the guy who was already agreed upon, already done, already a Steeler in the eyes of the public, and now he might not be a Steeler at all. Now, let me be clear about something. This is not a story about a bad player. Darnell Savage has had a solid NFL career. He was a first-round pick by the Green Bay Packers back in 2019. He played 5 seasons in Green Bay. He started games. He made plays. But here is the reality. He has not been healthy. His injury history is long and real. In 2025, he bounced from the Jacksonville Jaguars to the Washington Commanders and finally the Buffalo Bills, playing a career-low 266 defensive snaps. And the Steelers, a team that just went through serious roster rebuilding under new head coach Mike McCarthy, cannot afford to bring in players they are not fully committed to. Savage is not yet 29. That is relatively young, But in NFL terms, when you have a long injury history and you just lost your starting spot in Green Bay, the questions about your future are real. The Steelers clearly had those questions too. They agreed to a deal, then they did their homework, then they went a different direction. But here is the part of this story that nobody is saying. If the Steelers moved on from Savage, why have they not officially told anyone? Why is the deal still technically agreed upon on paper while Savage sits unsigned and the team builds its roster without him? The answer to that question says a lot about how the NFL actually works behind the scenes. In the NFL, teams do not always officially cancel agreed-upon deals. Sometimes they just stop responding. They stop moving the paperwork forward. They let the deal die quietly without making an announcement. Why? Because it protects them. If they officially cancel the deal, it creates a story. It creates questions. It makes them look bad. It gives other teams insight into their plans. But if they just slow walk the process and never bring it up again, most people move on and forget about it. And that is exactly what seems to be happening with Darnell Savage. The Steelers have not said the deal is off, but they have also not signed him. And with the draft now over and the offseason moving forward, every single day that passes makes it more obvious. The window is closing. If they wanted Savage, they would have him by now. So where does this leave Darnell Savage? He reportedly agreed to a deal. He has been waiting. He has not signed with anyone else. He is just stuck. And that is one of the most uncomfortable situations a player can be in during the NFL offseason. You think you have a job. You stop talking to other teams. And then weeks pass, and the team that wanted you has quietly rebuilt their roster around other players. Now Savage has to figure out his next move. Does he wait for Pittsburgh to officially either sign him or release him from the agreement? Does he look for a deal elsewhere? Can he even do that? The NFL operates in gray areas like this all the time, and the player almost always loses. Think back to the beginning of this. The Steelers agreed to terms with Savage over a month ago. Nobody on the team has said his name once. They signed Brisker afterward. They drafted a safety. Their roster is full, and Savage is still sitting unsigned. This is not a misunderstanding. This is a team that changed its mind and has not had the decency to make it official. The Steelers are in a strange place right now. Mike McCarthy is the new head coach. The team just finished a draft. The roster is being completely rebuilt after years of struggling under the old regime. Pittsburgh went 7 straight postseason games without a win. They have not won a playoff game in nearly a decade. There is real pressure on this front office to get things right. And in that environment, every roster decision matters. Every dollar spent matters. Every spot on the 53-man roster matters. The Steelers looked at their safety room, looked at Darnell Savage, looked at Jaquan Brisker, and made a choice. They just have not announced it yet. So was Darnell Savage dumped by the Pittsburgh Steelers? All the signs say yes. No official signing after 40-plus days. No one on the team has mentioned his name. Another safety signed after the Savage agreement. A rookie drafted at the same position. A roster that has no clear spot for him. The Steelers did not make a big announcement. They did not hold a press conference. They just quietly moved on while Savage sat and waited. And that is exactly what makes this story so uncomfortable, because nobody is talking about it. Not the team, not the local media, not the national reporters who broke the original deal. The only thing louder than the Steelers saying Savage is done is the complete silence every single day he remains unsigned.